Good morning, kiddos. Hope you had a good night. We're working on lesson 27 today, and if you'll see, we have been very, very busy with our plot. Oh, look, my hair's all crazy. Gotta let me know these things, people. All right. So, just to review what we know already, okay? We know that during the beginning of the story, uh, we're set. We learned that we were set in a futuristic time where something bad happened to the world. We don't know what. And the world was rebuilt, and that people had no memories except for the memories of what they lived through. They knew nothing about the past. We know that they don't see color, and it's called a dystopian society. We also were introduced to the character of Jonas, and we find out that Jonas is very much like any average young man. He does well in school, and he never really breaks rules, and he does what he's supposed to. Then at his ceremony of 12, he is given the role of the giver. And that is where our conflict starts, right? Conflict right here. Conflict always has two things: a protagonist and an antagonist. Our protagonist is Jonas. Our antagonist, through the majority of the story, is inside Jonas. His feelings is his antagonist. That's what creates this rising action. As more and more things start happening, and Jonas starts learning more and more about memories and war and love and color and everything that his world doesn't have anymore. And they start taking away all these choices and all the choices that were taken away from him by society. That action gets worse. That conflict gets worse and worse and worse and worse and worse. And yesterday, whenever we did lesson 26 and read chapter 19, we got to the climax of that conflict. The worst possible point of conflict in the story is the climax. And remember that our climax is whenever Jonas finds out what release really means. The rest of this story is going to be the falling action. But once you've hit the climax of the story, we can start figuring out what the theme is. So to review, a theme is the main moral or message of the story. What did the main character learn from the events of the story? Okay, so we need to think about, what did Jonas learn, and what does Lois Lowry want us to think about in our lives by reading The Giver? Before we move further, let's look at some of the incidences of release. You were supposed to fill out this incident chart as we were reading, and you were supposed to finish it up last night with the incident of the father releasing the new child. Okay, so first of all, let's look at how release was viewed throughout his community, throughout Jonas's community. At the beginning, a little into the story, page 34, when they celebrated the release of Roberto, and they talked about how wonderful it was. Remember, he was bathing Larissa, and y'all were all freaked out about kids bathing. These kids are bathing old people. Well, that was seen as not a big deal in Jonas's community, right? That was part of his volunteer hours, was bathing the old people. But Larissa, while she was being bathed, talked about the release of Roberto. And Larissa described the release as something to be celebrated, something that suggests that release is a celebration, a joyful event for elderly people. She goes on to say, talk about how they told his life story, and how no one really knows where you go whenever you're released. And so it's assumed when you're reading about Larissa's idea of what a release is, at least for elderly people, it's something beautiful. It's something to be celebrated. Now, we had heard about release before that, as early as page 2, when they talk about the pilot that mistakenly flew over Jonas's community, and it says, needless to say, he will be released. And Jonas's reaction to that signifies that being released is something that can be negative in the community. Um, his mother, who's in charge of justice and laws, she discusses her worry about a person who's committed a second transgression will commit another and be released. Um, Jonas thinks of the little boy in his class whose father was released, which shows that release can also be something of embarrassment. It's embarrassing to your family if someone has to be released. Now, we've discussed all these before and talked about whether they were positive or negative feelings. Father shares that a new child may be released that Gabriel might be released if he doesn't develop correctly. And he says it very matter of factly, like it's not a big deal. Finally, at the end of 150, we actually see a release. And we figure out that release is death. And Jonas is completely horrified, right? And the author talks about it, his insides were ripping, and that the grief, he was grieving for the child. But no one else, his father just was very matter of fact, like this is part of his job. It's not a big deal. He smiles, waves bye-bye after he releases or kills the baby, because his community doesn't understand that death is a final thing. They really think that they're being released to somewhere else. That brings us to our lesson. Today, we're going to actually determine the theme of the giver, which is a direct line to your, culminating writing task. Excuse me. Because your culminating writing task has you writing a theme. So we're going to give you everything you need to determine the theme of the giver, and you're going to identify reasons and relevant evidence to support that theme. So you're going to have everything you need to write your L1s, which is your restate and your answer, your L2s, which are your evidence, and your L3s, which backs up your evidence. You're going to need the giver, your incidents chart handout that we just went over, and a claims, reason, evidence handout, which I think, hold on, is on page 80. Don't let me lie to you. Don't let me look. Nope, not page 80. Hold on. That's for something else for later. Went too far. It's on page 73, okay, of your white books. And if y'all want to look at it, I can even open it up for y'all to look at. Oh, we discussed my slow internet, right? Good. Glad we understand each other. Right, show and folder. Go ahead and have that opened up for y'all. So if I want to go back to it, I can. See, it looks like this. Reason, like we're going to write out our claim. Why should the reader agree with your claim? How does this reason support my claim? Then another reason, and evidence to back everything up. All right, and we're going to talk about how that fits into what we've already done. Now we got to try to get back to our lesson on here. One good thing is you don't have to listen to me read today. All right. Let's see. Lesson plan. Look at me. All right. So why was it so important for Jonas to watch the release? Why did Lois Lowry even put that in the book? I want you to go ahead and pause. I want you to think about this. And I want you to really, 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 I wish I could talk to you guys because I'd love to hear you guys answer me back. But I want you to pause the video for a second or two and really think about that question. Think about, what does Jonas realize about his father by watching the release? What does Jonas realize about his community by watching the release? And how did seeing his father participate in the release impact Jonas? That's some of our guiding questions to help us answer that big question. So what I want you to do is I want you to pause the video, and if you're by yourself, say it out loud. If not, jot some notes down, but get it out of you. Okay? Don't just wait for me to give you the answer. Okay? When I'm done sipping my coffee, when you see my coffee cup get put down, you can turn the video back on. All right, guys, welcome back. I hope you've had some time to really think about why it was important for Jonas to to see the release. So important that the giver said more than once, watch. So Jonas really comes to a conclusion. Like, this is the point at which Jonas really learns the lesson that the giver's been hinting about, right? Jonas, it allows Jonas to finally see the truth about his community. By moving to sameness and eliminating, remember we talked about some different topics that we talked about. They eliminated choice, they eliminated love, they eliminated pain. The people of Jonas's community have become dehumanized. They've taken their humanity away to the point where a nurturer like Jonas's father murders an innocent newborn without question or hesitation, just to ensure that there are not two people in the community who are alike, since the baby was a twin. So, does choice, pain, and suffering make us human? That's the kind of questions Lois Lowry wants us to ask about ourselves. Are those the things that make us human? We don't. So if we're looking at that and we're thinking about what makes us human, what is the use of having pain? Is it worth not having choices to get rid of things like pain and suffering? And what is the value of pain and suffering? And this is even more important in the situation we're sitting in, right? We're having choices taken away for the greater good. And in this case, it's very, very necessary. But what did Jonas's community lose by going to sameness? That brings us to our theme, our topics, the message the message Lois wants us to learn. How is Jonas's knowledge of release, how does that help us develop that theme? Ooh, I'm sliding away. So, what warning might Lois Lowry be trying to give the readers through Jonas's realization? What does she not want us to do? What did Jonas do at the beginning of the book that Jonas doesn't do anymore? Remember when we were learning A Christmas Carol, we learned the theme by how Scrooge changed, and Scrooge started off greasy, started off greedy and miserly, and wasn't very caring. And then by the end of the book, because of all of those memories and the ghosts of Christmas past, present, and future, those experiences changed Scrooge. How did these experiences change Jonas? What has Jonas come to learn and understand? What might the author be trying to tell us through his change in perspective and character? How does viewing the release affect Jonas's perception of society? Given this, what might Lois Lowry be trying to convey or teach about a society like Jonas? I want you to pause the video and think of and write out a theme statement. Your theme is about you. What What did you learn from reading this? So go ahead and pause the video and write out a theme statement. Remember, your theme statement has to be universal and it has to be timeless, which means that you can't talk about, I think the theme of the story is Jonas learned, blah. If you write Jonas's name or you write the giver in there anywhere, it is no longer a theme statement. Now, we're going to take that theme statement and write a claim, but as of right now, you're just writing a theme statement. Okay, so pause and write your theme statement. Okay, you back? All right, so you from your theme statement. So in my theme statement was blindly following rules and rituals without understanding their past and purpose can lead people to lose their humanity. I feel like Jonas learned that if we just follow rules without questioning them, it can lead us to completely lose what's precious about ourselves, what's beautiful, right? Turning that theme into a claim, that's our big L1 statement. That's our big thesis statement, our claim. You're going to restate the question or the prompt. What is the theme that Lois Lowry conveys to the giver? So, one theme that Lois Lowry conveys in the giver is, then I'm going to add to that my theme statement, that blindly following rules and rituals without understanding their past and purpose can lead people to lose their humanity. Is that a specific claim? I'm going to use that soda strategy. We've talked about it before. Is it specific? Does it address the question being asked? Is it an original claim? Did I come up with it? Yes. Um, is it defensible? Can someone have another point of view? Okay. I'm sorry, is it defensible? Is it something that I can back up with evidence? Oops, I screwed up. Arguable. Is it arguable? Is it something I can argue? Does it have a counterclaim? Although some may say rules and rituals are very, very important in society, I feel that without understanding their past and purpose, it can lead people to lose their humanity. All right? So I want you to evaluate your theme. Well, I'm sorry. First, screwed up there. First, I want you to take your theme and rewrite it as a claim, right? So you're going to start with one theme that Lois Lowry conveys in the giver is, and then plug your theme statement in. Then I want you to go through and think, is it specific? Does it restate the claim? Does it address the claim? Does it answer this question? Is it original? Is it something that you came up with? You didn't copy mine? Is it defensible? Is there evidence throughout the text that you can support your claim with? And is it arguable? Is it something that someone else can have a counterclaim on? Pause, go through and evaluate and revise if necessary, okay? All right. You back? Good. Now that you have a good claim, the next step is to identify the reason or reasons why people should agree with your claim. After you do that, you'll gather evidence that supports your reasons. A reason should answer the question, why? Why does blindly following rules and rituals cause problems? Here I'm looking for a big idea, not a specific example, as that'll come with evidence. So think about some of the reasons why you shouldn't just follow rules and rituals, right? Think big ideas that popped up because it takes away choice, because it's not always fair, right? Because we lose a lot of joy when we just blindly follow these rules and rituals. Okay, that's my 3 reasons. That's how broad your reasons need to be. So I want you to stop the video and list sorry, 3 reasons why your claim that support your claim. All right. Welcome back. Now that we have our reasons, I want you to find 2 pieces of evidence that back up your reasons. So my first reason is people who take actions without thinking about why they are taking them make poor or harmful decisions. Can we think of 2 times in the story where Jonas or someone in society made a poor or harmful decision, something that hurt someone else, right? Your evidence needs to be compelling and really, really back it up. And why am I making you use 2 pieces of evidence? You're right, because I'm going to have you do 2 L2s and 2 L3s, right? We're jumping ahead. Evidence serves as support for the reasons you offer and can be presented in different forms. You can write it as either a paraphrase, where you write it in your own words, but you give credit to Lois Lowry and don't forget to write page numbers. Or you can write it as a direct quote. Remember, that has to be in quotation marks and all that stuff. You need to take 2 minutes to find relevant text that supports the reason from the giver. Okay, so what I want you to do is go ahead and for your first reason, I want you to find 2 pieces of evidence right now. Okay, list the evidence. All right. Now that you're back, I want you to go ahead and finish filling out your claims, reasons, evidence chart. So your claim is the prompt plus the theme. Okay, so you're restating the prompt and then restating the theme. You're going to find me, you need to give me 3 reasons why. These are big ideas. Okay, let's see if I can write on this. Yes, okay. Actually, do what I think it's going to do. I love new things. All right. So this to in the claims, you're going to restate. I know this is going to be ugly. Okay, I'm just letting you know. You're going to restate prompt. No, we're just going to reset. You're going to restate the prompt and answer prompt. Okay, so it's restate the prompt and your statement. Then you're going to give 3 big ideas, right? 3 reasons. Then you're going to look and you're going to tell me support. You're going to find me 2 pieces of evidence for each one. All right, I know this says 1, but we know that I don't play with just 1. I want 2. Okay. So this also gives you homework. Okay. So I would like you guys, before you do lesson 28, to read chapters 20 and 21 of The Giver and complete a reading log. You have a reading log on page 80. That's one of those 3-2-1 sheets. I'm going to do a separate lesson or a separate reading of chapters 20 and 21. For those of you that struggle with the reading, it's really up to you whether you use that one or not. I'm going to attach it in Google Classroom though. Okay. So go ahead, finish up your stuff, work on your claims, reasons, evidence chart, and get those 2 chapters read. It was nice talking to you guys again today. I miss y'all very, very much. Y'all stay happy. Y'all stay healthy. Y'all stay learning. Miss you. See you soon.